Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Recap, a Guy's Review. Matt James has a statement he just issued on Instagram right before tonight's hometown episode. Let's read the statement, then we'll discuss it real quickly. Of course, Matt James's Instagram is MattJames919, of course, 919, area code of North Carolina. All the info nobody knew they needed. So here he is. So let's go. This is the one right here. New statement. Lots of words. Very tightly formatted. So hopefully you guys can read this with me here. Let me just slide my video off to the side right here. There you go. All right. The past few weeks have been some of the most challenging of my life, and while there are several episodes left of the season, it is important that I take the time to address the troubling information that has come to light since we wrapped filming, including the incredibly disappointing photos of Rachael Kirkconnell in the interview between Rachel Lindsay and Chris Harrison. The reality is that I'm learning about these situations in real time, and it has been devastating and heartbreaking, to put it bluntly. Chris's failure to receive and understand the emotional labor that my friend Rachel Lindsay was taking on by graciously and patiently explaining the racist history of the antebellum South, a painful history that every American should understand intimately, was troubling and painful to watch. As Black people and allies immediately knew and understood, it was a clear reflection of a much larger issue that the Bachelor franchise has fallen short on addressing adequately for years. This moment has sparked critical conversations in reporting, raised important questions, and resulted in inspiring displays of solidarity from the Bachelor Nation. It has also pushed me to reevaluate and process what my experience on The Bachelor represents, not just for me, but for all the contestants of color, especially the Black contestants of this season and seasons past, and for you, the viewers at home. I will continue to process this experience, and you will hear more from me in the end. My greatest prayer in this is that this is an inflection point that results in real and institutional change for the better. It's a very interesting statement to make only half an hour before the start of the East Coast airing of Hometowns episode. Makes you wonder, does his conversation with Rachael Kirkconnell's parents go sideways? Does he feel like he wishes he sort of displayed more of a I don't know if you say backbone when it comes to whatever racial issues may come up. Now look, we won't know. This episode's going to air very soon, so we'll cover it on my live stream later on tonight. But it makes you wonder, did something go down in tonight's episode that made him want to get this statement out now? Or also, fairly, maybe he just felt like it has boiled up to such a temperature that he wants to address all of these issues. Now he doesn't owe anybody anything. Matt James was thrown into this season. They cast people that had controversial past, to say the least. Rachel Lindsay tried to defend Rachael Kirkconnell, and in that didn't give grace to Rachel Lindsay and anybody who would be offended by the fact that the antebellum South is still celebrated in today's society. The facts are there's a lot of ignorance and racism that still exists all over our country, from Georgia to Oregon and New Hampshire to Arizona. It's all over our country. It exists because of a lack of education, a biased education. It exists because innately as humans, it's always us versus them. The media divides us. Culture divides us. We're scared to go on the other side of the train tracks. We're scared to leave our cul-de-sac. We're kind of sort of ruled by fear in some cases. Maybe we need somebody like Matt James, somebody who's just an affable guy. He's a nice guy. He laughs all the time. A lot of people have criticized him for how much he laughs. He laughs in all sorts of situations. I actually wanted to cover that. Let me Google this right quick. Nervous laughter, because some people said, "Why is he laughing?" When Heather Martin shows up or something. And it's very interesting because laughter is such a beautiful tool that the subconscious uses for so many different reasons. You probably know the feeling. You're in a tense situation. You suddenly feel an insanely powerful urge to laugh. Don't worry, you're not crazy for doing this. It's a phenomenon called nervous laughter. Nervous laughter is called an incongruous emotion. This means that you experience an emotion when the situation doesn't necessarily call for it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some nervous laughter that happens tonight. As has been reported, Rachael Kirkconnell is going to introduce her parents to Matt James. How that goes, we'll have to see. There's been reporting on certain groups that her parents support, her father supports, that might be, not in the same interest as someone like Matt James. Or I could be completely wrong. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to speculate too far. I just want to point out that what Matt James is doing here, it's really important that even though he was thrown into this position where he's expected to fall for someone, then maybe he does. Then he finds out that, they have a history that would be, all of his people would look at him and go, how are you going to be with someone who's got a history? There's so many complicated layers to this story. Chris Harrison, of course, has stepped aside. Some are calling for him to be fired. Some are calling for Rachel Lindsay to host the Woman Tell All episode. So much is going on in our society. I wouldn't say that we're more polarized than ever before, because I know people say, oh, we're more polarized, more divided than ever before. We have a lot of issues that have gone unaddressed, and it's like the permafrost that's melting, and we're finally getting all of this out. There's a lot of toxic culture that has been thrown through generation after generation into our cultural lexicon, and now we're seeing it play out on national TV where everyone has to have an opinion. My simple advice is understand that if somebody has a different opinion than you, that they're not wrong, that they just see the world differently. Maybe they grew up and were raised differently with different types of privileges or lack thereof. It's important for us to have compassion for others. So it'll be very interesting to see how tonight goes. Very interesting that Matt James supported Rachel Lindsay, that he denounced Rachael Kirkconnell, because there's a very good chance right now we're at 25% chance there's 4 women left. 4 or 3, I think 4 women left. So there's a 25% chance that Matt James is with Rachael Kirkconnell as a finalist. They're still together, and he sees what she did in her past, and she's maybe learning to do better, We'll have to see how this goes. I'd love to hear your comments, so definitely leave a comment below. Hit the like button. It's good for the algorithm. On tonight's live stream, I do a 10 p.m. West Coast live stream. I'm going to be discussing this, how this statement applies to what we saw or what we'll have seen on tonight's episode of The Bachelor, and of course, a lot of other issues are going to come out on tonight's episode of The Bachelor that we've heard about. We're going to be addressing all those throughout the day tomorrow. Different videos, trying to keep it very specific because we've got topics of a father-son issue, racial issues. There's so much going on in our show. At the very least, as Matt says, my greatest prayer is that this is an inflection point that results in real and institutional change for the better. So at the very least, we use this as an example to move forward from, to unite from, and understand there's so much hurt in our country. How can we all do better to love our neighbors like they're our equals? Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think.